ZZZ second anniversary is already knocking at the door, and it is way sooner than you ever thought. Besides, by the time this video is released, I guess you might have already been live onto the server and already making your decision that which character you should be pulled. So before making the decisions, this video I guess going to give you a little bit of a rundown that what kind of character that you should be pulling for. Since this anniversary, they are going to reveal lots of new characters, lots of new guaranteed systems characters, and also our new Void Hunter, which is the Ramiel. So in this video, I'm going to make this video as a segment of a tier list types of things, where I'm going to choose that character where this character does have the highest amount of pull priority. If the character does not even going to be end up into the S parity, I guess you should be taking a second thoughts before pulling that character. So in here, as you can see, that S tier are going to be considered as the one of the best tier character that you should be pulling for must. A tier is kind of like a niche role. If you do have some other pulls after getting the S rank characters, I guess getting A rank is going to be another good options. For the B rank, I would like to say you should be totally avoid it at any cost, and waiting is the character that are waiting for be rated into this tier list. So before starting this video, let me give you a little bit of a check that what is actually happening into the community of a ZZZ and why I haven't even uploaded any of this like a ZZZ video in particular. So you haven't even checked any of this like a ZZZ video on my channel kind of like a past few months, since the main problem was the Shiwi defense changes and also some of those like a shield towards the certain characters. Yes, there was some certain mechanics were already introduced into this game, which was like a wind elements and some other new reaction, and that reaction kind of like a part of the new end game mode. If you cannot even have that reaction of types of characters, then I guess you're gonna even break the enemy shield, and it will be actually hard for you to get the actual scores to get the full clears, which makes me kind of like a mind boggling and also making me tedious to do the more chorus, which I don't even like it. Since I don't even like the open world, and also playing the open world is kind of like a way too much tedious to me. That's the reason why I am considered as a LARPer, or you can say the tourist in a Wuthering Waves, and also Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact I already totally quit, and Wuthering is kind of like another secondary game which I already played for the open world experience. But other than that, I haven't even played it since the market is way too much vague currently right now after the Genshin success. Anyway, I just really all of those things. Besides, why am I making another videos? The main reason is that since the second anniversary is already stacked, and it is kind of like a better anniversary that we have ever seen in this like a mainstream gacha, not even Wuthering Waves could ever do. That kind of things are ZZZ actually making a standard now. Most of the people are going to be concerned that if the mainstream gacha game giving that much of a free reward, I guess the game is actually not even doing good. For the mobile version, the game is actually doing pretty much good, but it is not even of a good one, what we consider as a higher level. So you have to totally give a second thought before just playing it. But that's for sure, this game doesn't even going to be US way sooner than later. Anyway, for the second anniversary, we are going to get the Ramiel, new Void Hunter, and also some other characters. Let's start the video. First character that I'm going to choose, which is going to be the Arya. So for Arya, she was having her first rerun into this like a second anniversary phase 1 banner, and phase 1 banner is going to be consist of Ramiel and also the Arya. But before than that, let's talk about the what actually Arya gives to you. Arya is having a same playstyle what the Shao does have into the Genshin Impact. If you haven't even played the Genshin Impact for a long time, I guess you might even already heard the Shao, which is a wind elements character, and also when this guy goes into the ultimate, he always plunge into the enemies to the oblivion. That's kind of playstyle you are going to get the Arya. But in a Shao's case, when he is actually going to in a ultimate, the ultimate duration are going to be consist of a no matter how much of a you are going to do the plunge attack. But for the Arya, she does have some of those like a stacks or some like a meter gauge bar, which is actually helps her to do the plunge attack. And if the meter gauge bar is actually goes down to 0, you have to fill up by some other characters, and that is the most crucial part that you have to understand. She does really required with some other characters such as the Nangongyo and also the Shuna, and she so comes from the idol class. And whenever you are going to put 3 idol character into a single teams, this character are going to have their special animation whenever they are going to put their ultimate and also the skills. This is kind of like a new gimmick what the ZZZ has been trying to put into this game. I guess it is kind of like a test phase, but in future we are going to see much more than that. Anyway, for this kind of like a things, all I wanted to say is that if you really do have some other extra pulls after getting the S rank characters, I guess getting her is going to be a good options. But if you don't even have her basis or teammate, which is a Shuna and also the Nangongyu, I guess it will be actually hard for you to pull her off and also pull her damage into this current meta. But she is still better than any other anomaly DPS character what the game is actually existence right now, even better than the Miyabi, which was holding the position of a 2 years straight for this anomaly DPS segments. Anyway, let's put her into the A tier, and if you do have extra pulls, she is actually going to be the solid pick and also going to give you a extra special build for your second teams for the endgame mode. Let's move on to our next character, which is going to be the Yuzuha. Now she comes from the another extra special banner, which is called the guaranteed banner. Now in this phase 2 banner, we are going to get the Sigrid, which is a horse girl from the Uma Musume types of things, and alongside with that we are going to get the 3 characters with a guarantee system. Now in this guarantee system, whenever you are going to pick up certain characters in those like 3 characters, first character are going to be guaranteed, but after getting the guaranteed character, each and every time whatever you choose the character, it is going to be similar to the 50-50 pull rate. And another important thing is going to be whenever you are going to do the first pulls for the first times in this banner, you are going to off to limits to a 20%, which is based around a sum of 8 pulls. You are going to get a 10 pulls types of things. So this is like a simple things what the ZZZ has been doing it, but it is not even a frequent one. But for this case, like a second anniversary, they are not even putting some like a random character, they are putting some like a best character for these guaranteed banners, and those best character are going to be the Yuzuha. Yuzuha is the best restored anime support character that you could ever get. Even ZZZ hasn't even released after her with the best restored characters for the anomaly DPS character. So up until now, she is a safe options to get her if you do have some other anomaly characters such as the Miyabi and also upcoming anomaly character. She is going to have her huge amount of value. So for this case, all I wanted to say is that she is going to be put into a S tier, but outside of the anomaly characters, I guess she doesn't even have any other value. So now when this kind of case are going to be happen, she cannot even have her S tier play. She might even go to the A tier, but I'm going to put her S tier since we do have a lots of anomaly character and also we do have a lots of anomaly 4-star character on our game in existence. If you don't even have the top tier anomaly character, you can just make her use with the 4-star character what we have available into this game. Now let's move on to our next character, which is going to be the Haramusa. This guy also going to be consisting around like a 3 guaranteed banners, and this guy was kind of like a given to us free when the Miyabi having her like a half anniversary in a Zenlong Zero. Yes, this guy was released alongside with the Miyabi and also ran whole over the patch and also given to us free. This guy comes from the element of electric, and whenever this guy was released, people does have kind of like a mixed reaction about his playstyle. Yes, he is actually have a much more complex playstyle that you could ever find in this like a game, and in that time most of the player are already been starting this game and they don't even have another second of a DPS option. And since you are getting a 5-star of a DPS character, whatever the mechanics that the character has, but still you are getting a kind of like a free 5-star characters. Each and every stars are going to be higher than a normal base standard of a 4-star characters. People were actually using him or building him to a certain level where they can even compete to the end game mode or somewhat of a having the relevant into the current position. But after that, so many other new characters were released and also taking his position totally one suit. And for this current position or current meta position, all I wanted to say is that this guy doesn't even have any of this like a value. So if you do have pulls and also extra pulls, or you can say collection purpose or wells, I guess getting him is kind of like another luxury to have but not must have. So for that reason, I'm going to put him into a B tier where you should be avoiding him at any cost. This guy doesn't even have any of this like a value if you are a F2 player, and if you just somehow able to get him just by his looks and also you are a BL fan, man, what can I say, you are just wasting your pool and also breaking your account back and forth. So for our next character, which is going to be the phase 2 banner of our new character, which is a Sigrid, and this girl is kind of similar to our Uma Musume girl. You already know that in 2025 Uma Musume kind of was a sensational, it was a sensational for the global version, but for the JP version which was released in 2020 or 2022, correct me if I'm being wrong, that time Uma Musume was also a sensational, but since the language barrier is so much massive, people didn't even bother to play it. But right now, since it is a global version and it becomes a way too much popular, and we are having our Zenlong Zero Uma version into this game, and her playstyle is kind of like a similar to what the Inagi does, but Yanagi does not even have gauge word to do the special attacks and also sounds like a burst damage, and she does really require that. And when she does actually do that, she does have a huge amount of damage which you cannot even find in a Yanagi version. Of course, Yanagi is an old character and Sigrid is a new character where she is actually going to be have a higher of options or higher amount of damage that you could ever seen. So for that reason, all I wanted to say is that after reading her kit, I'm not seeing any of this like a value, and for this reason I'm going to put her into A tier, and her playstyle is similar to what the Evelyn does, which is a assist attack and also some other chain combos. If you do really like to do some combo things rather than just button smashing, I guess she's going to be a good options for your playstyle. But other than that, for value, I'm not seeing her as a S tier position. Anyway, let's move to the next character, which is going to be the Dialin. She was our previous stun character. Even to this day, she's one of the best stun character that you could ever have. So what she does, she's going to give you any of those like a single character, ultimate machine maniac. Whenever she's actually fill up her passives, which does not even require that much of a time, and whenever just she activate her passive, she does actually open up a SS window. You already know that in ZZZ, whenever you are going to fill up the stun window to a certain enemies, each and every enemy does have that. They are going to be appear assist attack, and in this assist attack you are going to choose that which character should be chain combo and which character should become after next. That kind of things are going to be happen if you are just somehow able to make that character fill up their stun window. But for the Dialyn's case, whenever she's actually fill up her passives, which is the main thing of her, she will actually forcefully open with the assist window, and whenever you do have a choice that which character should be comes after next, or whenever you are going to choose that character going to have his ultimate right away. That is the thing what the Dialyn does. Yes, she's way too much value that you could ever find, and whenever she's actually using her ultimate, she's actually going to give her a certain characters with a force assist attack, and that assist attack doesn't even consume any of this like ultimate what her normal of an actual passive attack does. And that's the thing what actually makes her stand out even after like a release of a Noma, which is our recent pyro stun character, best in slot for any of those like a pyro character and also any of those like assist character. But having those like two things, which is a assist types of damage and also kind of like a ultimate right away, is kind of like a no joke, and you have to get her without any kind of problem. So for that reason, I'm going to put her into a S tier, as well as since she is having her first rerun, which is a long time later. I guess ZZZ know that how much of a value she's actually providing to your account and why she's actually a masterful character. So before her release, there was another character which was kind of like a playing her similar role, which is none other than the Jufufu, coming along with the Wush one, which is Void Hunter level of a character released in a first anniversary. She was actually having a good things because what she does on being an off field, she will give you a periodic types of energy recharge. So for just like the Dialyn, which can give you a direct of an ultimate, that kind of things cannot even happen for the Jufufu. But before the release of a Dialyn, Jufufu considered as a top tier character to have, but after Dialyn, she just totally mocked the Jufufu right into the oblivion. Another interesting part is that whenever your character does have the ultimate, just by normally doing the manual attack and also other things, if you just somehow use the Dialyn passive to make that character deploy the ultimate, that character original ultimate always going to be remain unclosed unless you are going to use it. That's another interesting part. So whenever you are going to choose a certain character from the force assist attack, if the character already have ultimate fill up gauge and also Dialyn uses her passive to make that character to deploy ultimate, you are going to have a two ultimate at the same time, since you did not even use your character's ultimate. I know it is kind of like a pretty much confusing since my language is way too much barrier between the English and also try to communicate with you guys, so buckle up with me. And for our next character, which is going to be the Ramiel. Oh my god, what I'm going to say is that if you didn't even do the recent quest, she's kind of like a Gunnar bait characters. Of course, each and every Generation 0 character is a Gunnar bait, and she's a first generation of a Void Hunter character. Sorry for being a spoiler, and if you haven't even reached to the point where I tried to say here, it's kind of like a huge spoiler for you. Anyway, what she does, she's played as a sub DPS and also DPS role, and she comes from the anomaly character. Her element is kind of like unknown, since each and every Void Hunter doesn't even follow the standard of a characters of elements such as the pyro, ice, and some other characters. Physical, that kind of things does not even going to be bother for the Void Hunter case. So Void Hunters Ramiel is going to be played as a crucial role for your dual DPS character. Yes, you are hearing correct. Whatever she does, she is actually going to give you a 1600 of an attack for the whole over teammates, which is actually highly needed for any of those like a anomaly characters. And other than that, she is also going to give you a 15 to 25% of anomaly proficiency and also anomaly mastery, which is a no joke, and which is the main damage resource for any other anomaly characters to have it. If you really want to build a team with Ramiel, I guess you have to put another anomaly characters to make her buff with perfectly, and also use her buff with a correct amount of time. That's the thing why she's actually kind of like a masterful character. And also, since she is a Void Hunter character, each and every Void Hunter does have the lifespan. Even to this day, if you do have a M2 Miyabi and also with a signature weapon, you are going to clear without any kind of problem. And this is a gacha game. Each and every gacha game, each and every new region, and also when the new end game are going to be come up, that end game are going to be shield towards certain characters, and also also power keep are going to be happen sooner or later. So for this current position, I'm going to put her with the S tiers. Of course, she does all and everything, and she played as a DPS character, sub DPS character. If you do have enough pulls, pulling with her M2 is going to be a safer option rather than just pulling like a Sigrid and also Arya and also other characters. So she is actually going to be a best in slot characters that you should even have for the second anniversary. I guess this is all about this video, and also I can give you a little bit of a rundown that what character you should be priority first and what character should be priority next, and what character you should be avoid at any cost. If you like it, leave a like. If you do have any of those like a question regarding my tier list of which character should be prioritized first, you can totally let me know in the comment section, and wait for the next video. Up until then, peace.